Welcome to Mike Golfs Oregon. I'm Mike. On this episode, I have with me John Figueroa from 9 to 5 Golf. If you've seen any of John's videos, you know that he has a very distinct aesthetic, a very distinct feel about it. I'm excited to talk to him about that and about skateboarding and other things in golf and a lot of other stuff tonight. But first of all, John, welcome. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming on. And how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, Mike, nice to finally meet you. Nice to finally get this going. I know we tried to schedule it a few times. I'm glad we could finally get it together. And yeah, I'm doing great. Just got back from a little trip, a little family trip. Got to play some golf out in Vegas. Played a course I've never played before, so that's always fun. And of course, I got to document it also.
Nice.
Yeah, overall doing great.
What course did you play? What was the new course?
It was a Las Vegas Golf Club. So it was essentially the Las Vegas Muni.
Yeah.
I had some friends who they've been living out in Vegas for about 2 years now. And so they were able to hook me up with the resident rate and got to experience it. It was a really cool old school course. It was built in 1938 and the back nine was really interesting, some cool greens and stuff. So it was fun.
Well, I look forward to seeing that video. But so I think it might have been in one of your videos in the comments and stuff. I dropped in and made a comment about what the look of your video sort of evoked for me in terms of your aesthetic. I just want to get right into this. They're very distinct. It's obviously very intentional, right? Because you repeat it over and over. How do you describe the aesthetic choice that you've made for your videos, the look for your videos?
I would say I try to make the videos as much as I can, I guess, appear as though they were filmed with an actual film camera, like a 13 or a 35 millimeter film camera. I kind of like that nostalgic aspect of it. To me, it's almost not even trying to get a vintage feel to it, but I mean, at least to my eye, whenever I see something that's made on film, either a photograph or film, an older film that's shot on real film, it gives me a more organic feeling and it almost puts me more in the moment of that photo or of that film. So I try and add that to my video when I edit my video, and I put the color grading and stuff that I do. To my eye, it seems like it provides a bit more of immersive and a realer feeling than if I just filmed it on my iPhone.
I think, to me, I look at it and it has a warmth to it, right? And film has a warmth. Film has a warmth to it. And I think the way I described it, it must have been in the comments or something. I described it as sort of that golden 70s, hazy golden 70s Southern California look. I was born in 72, so I grew up on TV shows that had that look. Lots of beach scenes with that look. Everything looked like that. So it's really pretty neat. What do you think? What sort of led you to make that sort of choice, that sort of aesthetic choice?
That's probably big. It probably has a big thing to do with how I got into like a love of film and video and editing to begin with. Is when I was a teenager back in high school, I was very big into skateboarding. But I was the worst skater out of my group of friends, so by default, that kind of led me to being the filmer. That kind of led me to being the filmer of the group. So, but it was cool. We actually had some really good filmers who were kind of known within the skate industry back in the time, and a few of them have kind of gone up to be pretty impactful within the skate industry as far as filming goes within Ventura County. So I got to learn a lot from some really good, very creative people, but also just the skate videos that came out back in the day. Especially there was a magazine company back in the day called Transworld.
Yeah.
And they would put out videos every year, and the videos were amazing. The editing was cool and everything. But my favorite parts of them were each video would have one, sometimes two montages that were all completely filmed with 16 millimeter cameras. And it just always looked to me like that amazing. Like they always filmed it like late in the afternoon, golden hour, and you just saw that grit, but also the grain of the film mixed with like the aesthetic of skating and street skating in particular. Just that it just always appealed to me so much, and like that just always stuck with me. Yeah. And again, just going back to that film aesthetic of like kind of putting you there in that moment.
Up here in Oregon, so I'm familiar with Transworld, but for me it was Transworld Snowboarding.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
had subscription to the magazine, waited for all the videos to come out, run down to the Hollywood or order them online, try to order them through magazines, try to get the videos to watch all of the videos, and it was sort of the same. I'm sure a lot of the same kind of vibe in those things. You touched on a bunch of things that I was going to ask about later, but you have this sort of skateboarding background, the skate films, and you sort of answered the question. It's really like, how does that experience, that background, inform what you create in the golf niche? And I know, like, on your channel, right, you have one of your early skate videos that you did, right? And it's just it was really fun. I went back and watched it. It's really fun because it's like it's so nostalgic and flashback for me, right? All
Yeah.
of the montage clips, and then at the end, of course, you got to show the wipeouts and the
Yeah.
boards breaking and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm what else is it about that style of video you think that you are sort of drawn to and bring to, and how do you incorporate that into the golf niche?
I just, to me, like, skate videos, to me, I've always at least back in the day when they were full length skate videos, it always read to me as more of a documentary of a certain, either of a team or a group of people, during a certain period of time. Because back in the day, like, those videos took years to film. Nowadays, I feel like people will put up, parts on YouTube and TikTok and stuff that, they're only about a minute and a half long, and then people forget about them, or they're already on to the next project 3 months later. But back in the day, it's like you had to wait 3 to 4 years for a video of your favorite skate team or whatever, and just that anticipation was a huge buildup. So I just always read it as like it was an impactful documentary of that group of people during a period of time, and so I always kind of just I always love documentaries in general, but skateboarding documentaries is like is like the next level for me.
Yeah, you've alluded to it a little bit, and I would ask you to share a little bit about your professional experience, your professional background, videography and producer. I know that you've worked with several brands, amateurgolf.com, Golf Tech, I think Fire Pit Collective, and probably a lot of others that I'm missing. I think even some brands in there as well. What's sort of your background in that? How did you come about? How did you sort of find yourself in that role? Did you go to school for this? Is this sort of self-taught, mentorship? How did you give us a little bit of your professional background on this side?
Yeah, so pretty much self-taught. I mean, I kind of just as I got older, I kind of got out of skating and fell in love with golf. Like, the funny thing is, in high school, all my friends were on the golf team, but I was like, I couldn't be bothered because I was too busy skating, and I didn't see the point of it. And then a couple years out of high school, I just somehow found an opportunity to start golfing, and instantly I fell in love with it. So as soon as, and then I, probably around 2017 or 2016, whenever Instagram and social media started really growing, I kind of like got more involved with it, and just having that, the video and the aspect of Instagram and like the filters you could add, it was like, oh, it was kind of starting to scratch that itch of like the old days when I had my VX and filming and stuff like that. So then I just kind of started, anytime I had my phone on the course, I would just take a few videos and just make like little short clips and stuff. And then as I just got more and more into it, I just decided, like, why not just make a YouTube and just really explore it and kind of dive into it. And then around 2019 is when I got switched from doing it on my phone to like actually using a proper camera and learning how to like color grade and stuff. But all of that was just kind of self-taught, because luckily I had YouTube University to kind of teach me anything I needed to know about cameras or editing and stuff like that. So I've kind of just learned as I went along. And as far as getting the jobs and meeting, working with the different brands, that honestly just happened through, around 2017, 2018, the Instagram golf community, or
Mm-hmm.
even the YouTube, like, it was pretty small, and it was pretty easy to get the attention of different people. And then just naturally, someone would be traveling through, someone like Matt Cardis, Golf in Your State. He would just happen to be traveling through California, and he posted something on his Instagram that he had an extra spot to play Rustic Canyon. And I just like messaged him and said, hey, like, I'll play, like, not even thinking I was going to film or do anything. I was like, I was a fan of his stuff, and I just wanted to meet him. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, like, I'm down to play if you want to. And I ended up playing with him and ended up becoming great friends with him. And then just through that, ended up the other random person who joined through the Instagram, me and him ended up becoming really good friends. And then he starts introducing me to his network of friends. And then it just kind of grew through that. And eventually I met, Laz Versailles, who
Yeah.
around 2021. I mean, he's a great writer and contributor to different golf media outlets. But at the time he started working with Fire Pit. And in like around 2021, 2022, he said, I know you do video and stuff, but would you be interested in like filming, other people, not just your own content? Have you thought about doing that? And I said, yeah, hell yeah. So he gave me a shot, and I spent a couple years, doing stuff with them and editing for them. And that was a really good experience. And again, just kind of through that, different projects, getting my name out there, just kind of connecting with different brands through that and just building it
I suppose you're
as,
also
as
probably,
organically as I could.
yeah. And I mean, you're in Southern California, so it's probably a pretty good place to be if you're, if that's sort of the creative arts and in
Yeah.
that world and that realm, it's a little easier to make connections. Some of that's up here in Portland and maybe somewhere like Austin or Nashville and stuff too, but probably not to the extent that it is in Southern California.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So as someone with sort of like professional experience, in videography and creating content and producing and editing, what is sort of, you jump into YouTube and it's this wild world of just amateurism and people like me just saying, oh, I'll make a video and throw it up on online. What are sort of your pet peeves or nails on chalkboard mistakes that you see, like just the average Joe like me and my buddies that make videos doing constantly, that you're just like, oh my God, guys, this is easy. What are you doing?
It honestly, it's not even like mistakes. It's video or photo. It's all a form of art. If at the end of the day, if you boil it down, no matter what you're filming, whether you're filming golf or documentary, I consider it an art form to learn how to craft a video together and edit it and put it together and put together a story. And so I would say it's for anyone, as long as they're having fun doing it and as long as they're doing it for the right reasons. um like if like, oh yeah, my group of friends that I play with, like we always have a great time, we're always laughing, coming up with these inside jokes, then yeah, you should. But I would just say don't do it just because like you're noticing a lot of people are getting a bunch of free stuff
Yeah.
through content. They're like, oh, let me get some free golf, like, because it's so, in my eyes, it's always going to show through in the footage and in the content. And I don't think it's gonna last. So that, like, my biggest thing would just be doing it for the right reasons and just doing it because you actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
um and then anything else like pet peeves and stuff, I mean, obviously, like, I hate vertical video. It's just it's the bane of my existence. Unfortunately, I've had to do a lot of it and editing with it and stuff, but it's just the way it is. That's nothing I can change. That's just the way the world is going. But I really don't like vertical video, and I just think anytime you can put in a little extra effort, and just get, you can get a cheap camera that
Yeah.
films in 24 frames a second and can get you more of a professional look, quote unquote. It doesn't take that much more effort than filming with your camera or filming with your iPhone. But at the same time, like I said, if you're doing it for the right reasons and you're having fun, like however you got to make it, just make it.
Yeah. I think when you say doing it for the right reasons, to me, that resonates as be authentic to yourself. Just because you see somebody making it big because they're, let's see if I can eat 100 corn dogs between shots. That's maybe not authentic to yourself to be going out and copying stuff like that. The world
Yeah.
can only, in my opinion, the world can only handle so many, I guess, frat golf, frat golf channels. It seems like we haven't reached it yet, but it's still there, which is fine. Whatever. That's just not me. It's be authentic to your, like you say, be authentic to yourself. Don't. It is full of YouTube's sort of full of copycats. Social media is full of copycats because people want to make it right. They want to make
Yeah. And
whatever that is.
Yeah. And there's different markets for everything. Like everybody's into different stuff. So,
Yeah.
the crazy thing is that you're always going to be able to find a lane, as long, like I said, as long as you do it for the right reasons. Like you'll always be able to find a community somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I think that I agree. One of the things that I wrote down that I wanted to talk to you about, because I went back and I saw like you were on a bunch of other podcasts on YouTube, and so I watched those interviews just to glean little bits here and there. So I don't know when it started, because I think in a lot of your older videos you still give credit, but you started producing and using your own music in your videos. How long have you been doing that? Let's talk
That's
about that a little bit.
Well, that's been something I've done pretty much since the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the music in my YouTube videos or most of my Instagram videos, I think there's a few where I edited within the Instagram app, so I just use some of the audio that they include. But all of my YouTube videos, I usually make or I do make the music for it. That basically just started because I didn't want to get demonetized. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Don't need the
and
strikes.
yeah, and again, it was back, 2018, 2017 when it still was kind of a wild west as far as using like audio libraries and getting access to that sort of stuff. So I already had a background with music and I already kind of made music on the side anyway. So I just figured as long as I just kind of tailored it a little bit towards the videos a little bit more, then I could make it happen.
So what's your setup? I mean, you have like sort of a little home studio, or are you doing it all digital? Is it like sort of a
Yeah, I mean
how do you go about it?
yeah, so
Walk me through your process.
I pretty much I have like a little audio interface that I'll hook up to my laptop, and I can plug in my guitar or plug in a bass if I need to add something like that. And then I have a tiny little keyboard again I can hook up to it, and then I would say 50%, like within an average song, like the average beat I would make just any day, like it's probably like 50% stuff that I'm recording myself and 50% like sample based. So I'll
Okay.
just go online, or if I hear an interesting song, I'll Shazam it or something. And uh, there's a few websites where you can get royalty-free samples and stuff like that. So then I have a music software program that I'll bring it into and just kind of muck it up, chop it up in different ways to make it interesting. And then once I lay the groundwork for that, then I'll kind of add my own stuff on into it. And I usually like for my YouTube videos, I try and keep it short and sweet. So I try and keep the videos to 5 minutes max. And then
Hmm.
to keep it interesting, keep a change of pace, I'll make like two songs that are around 2 to 2.5 minutes long with, maybe a little silent break in between if there's like an interesting moment during the round or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's
I
pretty
actually
much
know. I
the
actually
formula.
noticed that. I noticed both of those things that you mentioned. Right, you've always had two songs, and they're short. And then I think I had written down too that like your videos are you do keep within like a sort of you have some guardrails. Like it's never over. I think maybe what's your longest video is maybe 15 minutes, but I don't think there's too many of those. Right, they're pretty tight because you're not super formulaic about every shot. Let's talk about it. There's really no talking most of the time, right? And it's just your music, and you always do have that sort of pause to gather yourself in the middle of the video, and then pick it back up again with a new track. It's a really kind of a smooth way to go about it. It's all sort of, how would you describe the music? I mean, it's just like sort of lo-fi beats, right?
Yeah, like lo-fi hip hop pretty much. And like as far as like the no talking in video, I think that again goes back to like my influence from skate videos. Like I kind of view it as almost like it's a skate part, but of a golf course in a sense. So, in skate videos, like unless there is an interesting moment or whatever, there's really no talking. It's just the tricks and they're
Mm-hmm.
set to a beat. And again, like having my like the impact of when I hit the golf ball going to the downbeat or hitting with the snare drum, that's again influenced with, from skate videos of whenever they land the trick, it's always on the beat. And I always thought that added so much to it and kind of puts you in the groove. And again, anything that kind of it almost again goes back to that immersiveness of feeling
Yeah.
like a closeness or feeling like you're actually there, because it's like you're subconsciously you start bobbing your head to the beat, but then you also notice it's going to the swing. And I mean, again, this is all stuff I'm editing it how I would like to do it. Like I'm not trying
Yeah.
to um
What I,
cater to anyone specifically. I'm kind of trying to just cater to myself and like
yeah,
how I would like to see it.
I
And
think that's the way everybody should be
everything I
doing
do
it.
is influenced by skate videos basically. So
Yeah, no, I love that. It's almost like Easter eggs, because I'd noticed a couple times I kind of picked up on the sequencing or the timing of the video to the music, right? On the beat, swings on the beat, contact on the beat, that kind of thing. But I hadn't paid that close attention to realize that it probably happens a lot more often than I think. Um, and that's actually pretty neat. I'm sure subconsciously there's something that we soak in as we're watching it that feeds exactly what we talked about at the beginning, which is sort of that aesthetic, that like kind of hazy, golden, warm, like natural, like, okay, this is just sort of a groove. It's like you're in the flow, right? I guess skaters probably talk about flow just like snowboarders talk about flow, and I'm golf. Yeah, there is a golf flow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever hit it. maybe one, maybe one time. But that's actually pretty cool. I am definitely going to go back and watch your videos now with that in mind, and sort of like see how often you hit that beat and where it's at.
Yeah.
It definitely plays into like sort of how you feel about the video and the pace. That's actually pretty amazing. I thought we were just gonna talk about music. I didn't realize you were incorporating it so much into the production side of it. That's really neat.
Yeah.
I had earlier, I've done, I don't know how many of these. I think this is like my 12th or 13th or something, interview with other YouTube golf channel owners. Paul, his name is Paul. He has a golf channel called 50 at 50. Paul and I are the same age, just a couple months apart. He's from England. He was a skater. I don't know that maybe he still considers himself a skater. And he draws really strong connections between skateboarding and golf and what drew him to golf. And he came to golf a lot later in life. And when he goes back to England, all of his skate friends are like, "You what? You golf?" They just like it's bougie. It's, oh, what are you doing? What's the connection? What are the elements of those two pretty visually different things, but what are the connections that kind of tie it together for you?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a really, really clear connection between the two. I think golf and skateboarding are they're both individual pursuits, but they're both greatly enhanced with a group.
Mm-hmm.
I think skateboarders have to consider a lot of angles, especially in street skating when it's not a perfect obstacle. You need to figure out what's the best way to approach each trick. Um, when you're going through a golf course, you're trying to navigate a course, right? Trying to find the best angle into the greens. Um, I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that skateboarding and golf are both pursuits that deal with a ton of failure and not very much success, and also like very, very, very incremental progression, and having the patience for that and having the kind of humility for that, and the fact that it kind of builds humility within you. I think both of those, or all of those traits, are very apparent in both golf and skateboarding. And so I think that's why I was drawn to golf very easily once I actually got it and got the approach of it. I think I put that link between what I loved about skateboarding into what I love about golf. And I think that's why I fell in love with it so easily, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you hit basically every one of the points that he made. He really stressed also the idea that it's so difficult. They're both really difficult, and they're both things that you never truly master. There's always something that you can do better or different, and that you're taking sort of a landscape with a goal in mind. But everybody, you can be with 4 or 5 other guys, and everybody's going to do it differently. But there's no really sort of right or wrong way. It's just
Yeah.
everybody's going to do it differently. That's
Yeah.
sort of
And
beautiful
everyone
thing.
has their unique style, just like everyone has their own swing. No, there's really no two, at least in the real world on the PGA Tour, you can find a lot of swings that probably look alike, but at least in
Mhm.
the real world and the people you meet when you play golf, like there's no two swings that look alike, and there's really no two kick flips or no two 360 flips that look alike. Everyone does them a little bit differently, and that's what's interesting about skateboarding and interesting about golf as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to come over the top.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the questions I wrote down, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is that, and this probably goes back to, it seems like it sort of exploded around COVID time, and it's this explosion of kind of independent golf clubs or golf societies. I think like Broken Tea Society, even Fire Pit Collective, and the No Laying Up guys, they all have their things going, and I think you've been a pretty active participant and even a builder in some of those communities down in Southern California. So tell me a little bit about your involvement in those groups. What's the value, and how do you go about sort of presenting or representing those communities?
Yeah, so as I've been a fan of No Laying Up's content since they started like producing their YouTube. I was a fan of their YouTube videos and wasn't even aware that they had a podcast or had a message board or any other community. I just their YouTube videos would pop up when I would search golf, and I liked them. I was a big fan of them.
Hmm.
And then going back to that story of playing Rustic Canyon with Matt Cardis, the other guy who was in our group, Harrison, who I became friends with, he was the one who introduced me to the No Laying Up message board, which is called the Refuge.
Yeah,
And on there, there's a lot of organic kind of golf groups building, just depending on the region, where you are in the country, where you are in the world. And so he kind of brought me into that group, and then that's actually how I ended up meeting Laz Versailles.
I was going to ask that.
So yeah, so just being involved in that group, and then during like right before COVID actually happened, beginning of 2020, they had No Laying Up had an event out at Rustic Canyon that I played in, and I ended up getting grouped with DJ Pyowski. And so we got to spend 4.5 hours together. It was blowing like 40 miles an hour. It was an insane day, but everyone was laughing, having fun. And we were getting to know each other, and I told him that I was in a band and I did music and stuff like that. And he told me, oh, we're about to release we're working on the new season of Strapped, and it's going to be Southern California. So like, let me, like, what's your band's name? Let me check you guys out. Like, maybe we can use you in some way. And luckily he loved our music, and he ended up using, I mean, damn near every one of our songs from our album
That's pretty.
within the 3 episodes. So then people on the Refuge started asking about us, and we got kind of a nice bump in our Spotify streams and our our YouTube views and stuff like that. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I first came to the Refuge almost a very similar way, and this is why I was going to ask about Laz, because that's where I first found out who he was, right? And
Right.
it was when I also didn't know that they had a podcast. I didn't know that they had, they were so big on Twitter. I didn't know any of that. It was just about the YouTube channel, and I had heard that they were going to be recording their tour sauce in Oregon. And somehow it came out that there's this thing called the Refuge or whatever. And so I went into the Refuge and I found out the courses that they were going to play, and they were coming to Gearhart. And so my dad grew up. His parents owned Gearhart Golf Course, and he grew up above the pro shop in an apartment above the pro shop. And so I started texting, and I think I was emailing, I think with Randy, all these different little, because he's the guy that likes all the facts, the history or whatever, and talking about gear art and kind of giving them like, hey, go here, do this. There's there's this, there's that. It was pretty neat. And then it was through that interaction in the Refuge that I came across Laz, and then I saw that Laz is actually writing, and I don't know how active he is in the Refuge anymore, but it was kind of neat to see that sort of grow. It's like actually just it's huge now. It's unbelievable. But are you like, so in some of the other interviews that I've watched online of you, or I call them interviews, but it really looks like more of a hangout, which is pretty cool. So you're based out of, like, is it Ventura or a Ventura area?
Yeah, I live in Ventura, and
Okay.
but my home course that I play at is Soul Park, which is out in Ojai. It's about
Okay.
like a
Is this,
25-30 minute drive for me.
and I've heard you referred to as the mayor of Soul Park.
That those are other people's words, not mine.
Other people.
But
What is it that you love about Soul Park? I've watched a couple of videos. It looks awesome.
yeah, in a nutshell, I think it's probably it might be the best public course in California, at least Southern California. I might be biased, but I think for the quality of golf that you're getting, for the setting that you're in, most importantly, the people that work there and the regulars who are there, the passion that they have for that golf course and the love they have for that golf course, it just shines through. The restaurant there is incredible. It's I believe they bumped their prices up, I think, last year, and it's a whopping, I think, $53 on the weekend to play. And I think, and during the weekday, it's nothing. It's like $42 or something like that. And once you get to twilight, it's ridiculous. And in the summer, when it's light out until forever and it's super hot out there, you can get out there super late and actually play reasonably quickly. And it's just an incredible place. And I think it got a lot of play and a lot of popularity during COVID because it was one of the few courses down here that stayed open for a really long time. But I still think it's pretty underrated. And it's an incredible course. And I think overall I'm pretty spoiled. Ventura County as a whole is really, really good. And I think personally is underrated as far as public golf goes. I mean, we have Soul Park, Moore Park, just in Moore Park, which is on the edge of Ventura County. We have Rustic Canyon, which is another Gil Hans course, awesome course. In Ventura,
Gil Hans did
he redid. He
Soul
renovated,
Park?
I guess, Soul Park. Yes.
Okay,
I guess you call it renovation.
I recall seeing some
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it, refresh, renovation,
Yeah.
whatever. It was.
I mean, it's
okay.
essentially a Gil Hans course now with
Okay.
how he transformed it. But then in Ventura, you have like Olivas Links and even Buenaventura, which is a super old school course, opened in 1921, and it's just really short and very cool. And then you go up the grade, you have Los Robles and Thousand Oaks, and we're spoiled for good golf here, and it was definitely one of the reasons why I love the game so much is because I had so many great courses around me to play and explore.
Yeah. Do you put on a tournament at Soul Park?
Yeah. So actually the interviews that you were saying, I'm actually a part of this golf podcast called the Municipals. And we
Okay.
kind of,
Yeah.
and we focus on, finding good public golf, championing great public golf courses and particularly the people that run them and just kind of supporting them as much as we can. And that I joined the podcast in 2023 to kind of help them start with their video content.
Mm-hmm.
But they started around 2019, 2020. And the two guys who started it, Ashton and Chris, they did a road trip up and down California playing golf during COVID, fell in love with Soul Park. And so when they wanted to make their first event, Soul Park just seemed like a no-brainer. So it's the first weekend of May. It's a 20 versus 20 Ryder Cup style 3-day event. We call it the Cookout. It's now known as Chip's Cookout in honor of a good friend of ours, Chips, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But the team format, I guess, is that it's team burger versus team hot dog, and it's the battle to see who rules the cookout.
Is it a play-in or an eat-in? How do you make the teams?
It's become a pretty strong event. I mean, speaking back to like building communities and stuff like that, it's really incredible how I started playing in the, I think, second cookout. Ashton just reached out to me on Instagram again. It was small community at the time, small world. He reached out to me. He said, "Hey, I noticed you play a lot at Soul Park. You love Soul Park. We're putting an event out there. Would you love to join us?" And so I played in it with them, and I just met so many cool people. And most of the people were traveling down from the Bay Area. Some people coming over from the East Coast. Some people coming up from San Diego. So just seeing that and seeing a lot of people's first time playing Soul Park and getting to kind of guide them and be a Sherpa for them, them asking me questions about it and seeing their eyes light up when they get to certain holes or certain green complexes. And it was just an amazing feeling. And so around the time that they wanted to start doing video, I said, I would love to join your guys' team. And so that's kind of how that started. But the event is really awesome. And it's kind of grown to where we've had it every year. It's been around 36 to 40 people. And we try to open up first priority registration every year to the people who have played in it before. And I'd say out of like the 40 people we have this year, I believe like 30 or 32 of them are returning. So
Right.
like it filled up very, very quickly.
It goes to the quality of the event you're putting on and kind of the community, right?
And it's been awesome because we've had handicap levels of all, like, or last year we had some like just very beginners, handicaps in the 20s, and one of them just said like, this is the greatest this is the best like golf experience I've ever had. I'm definitely coming back. I have one of my buddies who's going to be playing it for the first time, and he recently just got really into golf, and he's been progressing really quickly. He's down to like a 16 or 17 handicap. So he's really excited because he's never even done any sort of competitive golf match play at all. And we're doing alternate shot. We're doing like a Muni Madness Part 3. So like he's gonna be sensory overloaded with golf, but I think it's gonna be a great introduction
and
to the community.
probably totally hooked, and probably more so than he is now.
Yeah,
completely hooked. You actually mentioned how much fun it is to kind of Sherpa people and see them discover and find the beauty in Soul Park for the first time. The reverse of that, I had a question. When you're out as a professional and you're working with a brand or working with Fire Pit Collective, okay, it's more than me. And you're at these, you're recording at these world-class places, right? These amazing courses and stuff, and you're not getting to play because you're recording or you're videoing. How do you handle that?
I mean, you just kind of, I just remind myself I'm getting paid, I guess.
Yeah.
If I'm working with someone who's hired me to be there, then that if I get to play any golf, it's more of a bonus and just kind of the cherry on top. And I just kind of view it as such. I mean, there have been a couple of times where I thought I was going to get to play, and then it just ended up that the place that we were going to was just a little bit too exclusive, a little bit too, they're already kind of bending the rules for us, allowing us to film during the day. So like, I didn't really want to like push my luck at all. Yeah. So I just, I walked to the first tee with my driver and the camera. And as I was setting up the tripod, someone came from the pro shop and said, "Hey, you guys aren't playing 5, are you?" And I immediately picked up my driver and I said, "Nope." And I ran and like threw it back in the cart, and I just started filming. So, when you're in places like that, you're kind of you do what you're told.
Yeah, and you just respect that it's not your place, right?
Yeah.
It's not your gig. That's pretty neat. You've got to go to some pretty cool places, and I'll give you a chance to sort of brag a bit. What are sort of your top, going through your video list, you've played some really cool spots on the East Coast, all over the place. What are sort of, give me your top 5. You get 5 courses to play. What are your top 5 courses that you played?
All right. Well, okay. The first 2 are definitely, I'll say they're 1A and 1B, and then the rest of them, you could really put them in any order. But 1A and 1B for me would definitely be Pasatiempo and Abandoned Trails.
Okay.
I just think they're both for different reasons and similar reasons. They're as close as it gets to a perfect golf course, in my opinion.
I played one of those 2, and I agree. I played Abandoned Trails 3 times, and I absolutely love that course.
Yeah, and the first time I played Trails, it wasn't in great weather or anything, but I mean, the company I was with was amazing, but the weather wasn't the best. It was cold, it was windy, but it was still like I could see the course, for what it was. I could see how amazing it was, and I could still appreciate it and hit some shots. And then this last summer, getting to play it in actually like good conditions and warm weather, and getting the full experience of the course, it just kind of confirmed everything that I thought on that first visit. Just like, yeah, this is it. This is what golf should be, for sure. Yeah. And then Pasatiempo, this is kind of the same way. Like everything about it, like it always, every hole, every shot just keeps your interest. It has your full attention, and when you're playing with a group of people who are even a little bit into golf course architecture, I mean, even people who aren't, the first time I played it with 2 people. We were in a foursome. It was a group of us that drove up, but 2 of the people weren't really, they had never heard of Alistair McKenzie, or they had never heard of Pasatiempo. It was an opportunity that we all got to go up to play there. And on the drive up, all I was doing was hyping it up. And I had never played there yet, but I just knew about it, and I knew how great it was. And I was just telling him, it's the same guy that did Augusta and Royal Melbourne and all these, and this is the guy, And so, and then I almost to the point where I was afraid that I hyped it up too much. But then by the time we had walked off, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd green, like everybody's eyes were about this wide, and it's not in, by the time you get to the back 9, it's just, you're in heaven.
You get it. Yeah, I lived in the Bay Area for 7 years, but at that time, Pasatiempo. First of all, I didn't golf a lot when I was there. Pasatiempo was way out of a student's price range for me, unfortunately, and it's one of the courses that I really wish I could get down at some point and play because it's just such a cool looking course. If you had 10 rounds, I love this. NLU does this all the time in their podcast. You got 10 rounds. What's the split between trails and Pasatiempo?
I think I gotta go 5-5.
5-5.
I don't mean
Fair.
to cop out, but it's just
That's
it's
fair.
so tough. I mean, Ashton on municipals, he and I share the same opinion that 1A and 1B is Pasa and Bandon, and he puts it he puts in a very eloquent and very, like, he puts it best. He says one's filet mignon, one's lobster. It really just depends on what you're feeling, but you can't go wrong either way.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know,
good choice either way.
just
What are your other three? You said you had other three. No
yes.
particular order.
Yeah, so no particular order. I would say number 3, and some of these are courses that I played, but obviously didn't get to film for different reasons. But whatever. But number 3 is Tobacco Road. I went during COVID. I actually got to go out to Pinehurst with my brother-in-law. We have an annual trip, and we found, like, I mean, they were just running a crazy deal during COVID. I forget how it was, but relative to how it is now, it was dirt cheap to play. I think we played 3 or 4 of the courses on Pinehurst, and then we landed in Charlotte, and I convinced everyone in the group. I talked them into adding on the round at Tobacco Road before we got to Pinehurst, and it's a pretty wild course. I don't know if you've ever played it before.
I've watched your video. I've watched tons of videos from
yeah, and it's a really, really crazy course, but in the best way possible. And again, I was with a group of people who were kind of varying levels of what they got out of golf, like what they liked and enjoyed out of golf. And for a lot of them, like, the golf course features and strategy wasn't really the top of the list. But by the end of the course, like, a lot of guys in the group were saying the same thing as me. They were like, that was one of the best courses I've ever played. That was one of the craziest courses I've ever played, like, just most unique. So I have to give that to Tobacco Road. And then number 4, I'd say Chambers Bay.
Okay.
It's just kind of in the same vein as, it's almost kind of, Chambers Bay is almost, I kind of feel as like it has like a little bit of all those top 3 that I just mentioned to it. It's in a beautiful setting with the sound. You're playing a lot of interesting shots. You know, it's links golf but with a lot of elevation change. When I played it, it was playing very firm and fast, which I loved. And yeah, it's just, again, like a Pasatiempo or Abandoned Trails, like, every shot kind of has your attention. You kind of have to have a certain intention with every shot because you're trying to play the angles, and there's a few blind shots. The day I played, I was lucky. I made sure that I was going to take a caddy because I was like, I knew how tough and challenging it was. I even put in the notes when you submit a caddy request on the website. I put in the notes like, please give me someone who can read putts well, because I suck at reading putts. So
yeah, that's a shame on me course because it's like that Chambers Bay is probably a 3-hour drive, maybe 2.5 hour. You know, you can
it's a must
easily
play.
do it in one day,
Yeah.
I still haven't been up there to do it.
Yeah, it's a must play.
Yeah,
And
especially
then and then number 5, I would have to say, going back to North Carolina, I'd have to say Pinehurst number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other courses did you play when you went
So
back on the trip?
we played 1, 2, 4, and 8, and Tobacco Road.
Okay.
And then we played the Cradle as well, the par 3 course.
Okay. Have you been back there since, like, what is it? 10 is the new one, or?
Yeah, no, I haven't been there back. I would love to go back there, check out 10. And also while we were there, we got, like, really lucky and we were able to actually get onto Dormy Club. And that was like back when their pro shop was just a little trailer, like they were still building, early stages of building out their lodging and everything like that. And that was an amazing experience because we kind of threw a shot in the dark, found some sort of travel agency or something looking up tee times, and they said they could get us onto Dormy Club. And so we get there, and I think we were one of maybe like 4 groups who were on the course for the entire day. And so we get there around 11:30 noon, and it had been between 95 and 98 degrees with 99% humidity for pretty much the entire trip. But then that day, it was the last, like, it was like the second to last day of the trip. It turned into like a perfect day. Like the humidity dropped, it dropped down into like the low 80s. And so we got out on the course, we played super fast because we were the only people out there basically. And then we get to the pro shop and we ask them, hey, is there any way we could do a replay, or like, do you offer a replay rate or anything like that? And they just, without hesitation, they said, here, let's change out your cards for some fresh ones. And they just let us go back out for free, like no charge.
That's
Nothing.
fantastic.
And then we just played, we got to play as like a 4v4 scramble. We just play as an 8-some because again, we were the only people out on the course, and we still we got like 12 or 13 holes in before it got dark, and it was an amazing time.
No, that's such a great experience to have.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a course to yourself is amazing, but
Yeah.
Something like that where it's like, yeah, go out, let us get you some fresh cards.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love to go back to Pinehurst, that Pinehurst area. I mean, there's still so many good golf courses that I haven't gotten to play there yet, like Southern Pines and Pine Needles, Mid Pines, all that stuff. So it's an incredible area.
So my wife and I, she's my golfing partner. We love to golf together, and we talk about taking like these 3-day weekend trips to different cities around the U.S. If I'm coming down to Southern California, and let's say Ventura, she's got family in Santa Maria, so let's say that whole area of Central Coast, Southern California. I got 3 days. I'm playing 3 courses. What 3 are you sending me out to?
Okay, so 3 courses going up Santa Maria. I would say, I mean, obviously you have to play Soul Park. That'll be the first one. I would be remiss if I didn't include Rustic Canyon in there.
Okay.
And then it kind of depends what you would want for your third course. If you're looking for a real challenge, you could go up closer to Santa Maria, like in Lompoc. There's a course called La Purísima. That is the nickname around here. It's known as La Piranha, and because it is a butt kicker of a course. And the day I played it, I didn't even get it on a hard day, because usually it's blowing like a constant like 15, 20 miles an hour out there, on top of it being a tough course. Okay. And I got it on a calm day, and it kicked my ass like so bad. But so if you're looking for a challenge, and it's a US Open qualifier. Like they host all kinds of tournaments and stuff. Like it's a big boy course for sure. So if you want a challenge, you could do that. If not, then I would say in Goleta, you could go to Sandpiper. Yeah. Which is it's just a beautiful course. It's not going to beat you up too much. It's like right there on the ocean. The back nine is really interesting, really fun. And it's getting redone soon, getting rerouted by Tom Doak. I don't know. I shouldn't say soon. I don't know how long these things take, but the plan is for it to get rerouted and somewhat redone by Tom Doak. So it should be interesting. But there still are, as it is right now, it's a pretty fun course, and it's in a beautiful setting. So I would say Soul Park, Rustic, and Sandpiper. You can't go wrong there.
I think the tiebreaker between Lompoc and Sandpiper would be which one has the better patio?
That would be Sandpiper.
Okay, so Sandpiper is probably going to be the one, right? Because we're going to play a little golf and sit down and have a little drink and enjoy ourselves. So Sandpiper it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's some people who've called it the poor man's pebble, just because it's right there in the ocean. There are some interesting shots that are like that, and it's still kind of a pricey greens fee. I don't know about the poor man's part of it, but it's it's like a scaled down mid-tier pebble, I'd say.
Okay.
Very beautiful.
Basically, get out your checkbook is basically what I hear you saying. If you're gonna go play Sandpiper.
If you're not a Tri-County resident, yeah, you'll be shelling out some bucks, but I'd say it's worth it. And then the greens are always in great condition. They're always really fast. So.
Okay, cool. Well, like I told you, I would keep you to an hour, and we're not there yet, but we're close. But the last question I had for you was kind of where does this all go? What's your ideal? What's your ideal? Are you looking to build sort of multimedia? Like some people are like in this because they want to build a brand, or they want to leverage YouTube or their social media activity into more work on the professional side. Is this, like you say, this is your art, right? Is that how it continues, or what is the sort of the goal with the channel and with all of the activity that you're doing, municipals and everything else?
Yeah, so I mean, one thing that I've I mean, it's always kind of been my hope to be within the film video media industry, not even just within the golf side of that, but just in general, just working with filmmaking, whether it be documentary. I mean, my ultimate goal would be, I'd love to be working, filming documentaries or editing documentaries. I think that would be a great thing. I got a sneak peek of that a little bit during my time at Fire Pit Collective, traveling with them as they were working on a documentary, and it was really interesting to see the process and meeting people and hearing their stories. So, but yeah, the channel's been an unexpected blessing because it kind of got my foot in the door when I didn't really expect it to. So, and it's really helped me connect with a lot of people within the industry and kind of network, and it's helped get me jobs and stuff. So the only hope for that is just that I continue to grow and get better at my own craft, whether inside and outside of golf. I recently just started a part-time gig with this video agency based out of Santa Barbara, and they work with a lot of clients, both big and small, but they don't work in the golf industry at all. So, and I'm doing a lot of, I'm doing editing and doing different roles within that company now. So that's giving me a lot of experience and just helping me again hone my craft and get better at different aspects of it. And but yeah, my ultimate goal is just to continue to work with video. I just would love to make it my full-time job, just to create stories and document stories, tell stories in one way or another. But the 9 to 5 golf YouTube, I've always viewed it as just like a passion project. I just do it because I have fun doing it. And I've always had fun. What I would like to start doing is, my goal for this year is to start making more videos where I kind of point the camera more at other people instead of just filming myself,
That's a cool goal. I don't think I've heard anybody say that was their goal. I like that.
I mean,
I like it. I like that.
just meeting so many interesting people in the golf world and just getting to hear their stories and getting to connect with them. It's a great thing. And I'm surrounded by so many great creative people, like another person who just recently joined the Municipals, my buddy Troy Knight, who's an amazing photographer, does golf photography as well as other stuff as well, landscape. But he's just extremely talented, and he's starting to dip his toes into video. So it's been extremely inspiring seeing him kind of, level up his craft and just trying to explore new options. So like, that's just always an influence and motivating to me to get better and better every day. So just being around those people as much as I can and learning as much as I can, and getting to tell stories. I'm really excited. We have the Municipals have a trip we're planning actually up to San Luis Obispo. We got invited by the person running the SLO County golf courses. He saw our videos that we did for a trip that we took to Minneapolis a few years ago, and he liked how we highlighted the public golf out there. And so he extended an invite for us to go up there for a weekend and play a couple of the golf courses, document it, give our opinion on it and stuff like that. So looking forward to that, because we're kind of spread out. It's 6 of us as a group in the Municipals, and a couple of us are in the Bay Area, a couple in the Pacific Northwest. Me and Troy are down here in Southern California, but even still, Troy lives about an hour or so away from me. So we don't really get together in person very much. So anytime we can like plan a trip where we can all get aside from our yearly event down in Soul Park. So this time we get together, we get to reunite a little bit early before that. And again, tell some great stories. We plan on kind of exploring the city of San Luis Obispo. Hopefully we can reach out to some local businesses, like some restaurants or something, and see if, they would be interested in interviewing. Maybe there's a restaurant owner out there who's a big golfer, and, maybe, and Morro Bay or Chalk Mountain, one of the courses we're going to go play, is his local. So he can give us, a few minutes about what he loves about the course and what the people in the community, mean to him and stuff like that. So that's what I'm really excited for this year, is to kind of point the camera more at other people and tell other people's stories a lot more.
I like that. I like the way that you phrase it too. Point the camera at other people. It's sort of what I've been trying to do with these live streams. Is one, I'm curious to hear other people's stories about YouTube and golf, and just golf in general, and the things that come up and what we get to talk about. And in a way, that's sort of pointing the camera at somebody else. And I think it's always easier sometimes to get some stories out of an individual if somebody else is asking the questions, as opposed to someone like you deciding you're going to make a video about telling some stories. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's easier if it's easier to talk about yourself if someone's asking you the questions. And I
Yeah.
think that most of the people that pursue doing anything on YouTube are probably interesting enough in their own right to have somebody ask questions. And so that's sort of been the goal this year, is to, like you said, point the camera at somebody else, ask questions, and see what they have to say. So I really like that. I look forward to seeing kind of where that goes on your channel and what that looks like. I love the idea of sort of highlighting and promoting and championing municipal golf, and you know, that's worthwhile. It's, you know, grow the game, but it really is grow the game, and I do like that. So that's
Yeah.
really pretty
Our
neat.
our mantra that we have within the group is that it's about the golf, but it's not about the golf.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. That describes every weekend going golfing with my wife.
Yeah.
It's about the golf, right? She wants to keep score. She wants to know, did she beat me? Did she not? But it's really not about the golf. It's about
Yeah.
just getting out there and enjoying each other, enjoying the company, and the social aspect of it is a pretty big deal. So, well, great. Well, John, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing sort of your perspective and a little bit about yourself. Hopefully, I wasn't too invasive. I loved hearing about the skateboarding. I love hearing about some of your professional experience. Actually, a lot of other questions that I could have asked and follow-up questions about people you've worked with and things that you've done. It's kind of neat stuff, but I think we'll end it at that. Again, I appreciate it. Have a good evening, and boy, swing away.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man, for having me. I really appreciate it. This
All
was
right.
fun.